Well, I guess you all know the dates when we are leaving, although it has now changed twice, but really keep our fingers crossed that we will be able to see all of you in Longyearbyen on the 13th of July when we leave on board of the Archaeology. And then we will return on the 22nd, but then it's not over yet. We try to have another seminar, or we plan to have another seminar in Longyearbyen. Who is changing them? Slides. So just as a reminder, what do we want to achieve with this expedition? We have been there in 2015. It is similar setup, but also people have been there long before in 1968, 69, 1967. There is a book just outside and a map with some information on these expeditions. So we follow up on these data and we add a lot of new data, all kind of different angles and disciplines. But as Martin also said, it's not only about the science, it's also like a big workshop where we all meet and discuss and try to think of new ways to collaborate in the future. And you could already remember, it was when we started here in the building, for the people that are at home, it felt for many people already like a reunion. So there are quite some people that were on the expedition of 2015 that are still going on this one, but there are also many new people. And I'm sure that if we have another meeting next year or around the same time, then you all feel this reunion happy feeling again as well. So we want also to engage with the next generation of polar researchers. So there are young researchers on the team as well. We also, and Martin also said that we hope to achieve a similar success, not only scientifically, but also in outreach activities. What is different from this expedition compared to 2015 is that we are also focusing a little bit more on international cooperation. So we have several scientists from Norway on board, some from Germany. We have the head of SciOS on board, the director. So we also hope to achieve with this expedition that our international cooperation is supported. So this is the organizing team. Martin, you all saw, he is responsible for the science. Martin already introduced Jan Belges. You can also see here him on, do it like this, on the picture on the wrong side of the world, I would almost say, but in the Antarctic. And he will be responsible for safety on land and in the zodiacs. So also important, and he's leading the guide team on board. Then Fritz, he's sitting here. I don't know if you can see him on camera, but you can see also a picture here. He's doing a lot also in the organization of the expedition, but also for logistics. I come back to that later. Then we have, of course, the captain. I don't know who that will be, but he's responsible for safety on board. So if the captain says we're not going in that direction, then it's over. So we need to convince him to do whatever our plans are. But that worked out pretty good last time. And then it's me doing also general organization and a lot of the communication. So you have seen many emails already from me. Then you see some more pictures. Almost all in the room as well. Code Korte, he's sitting here, and he is our contact person from Oceanwide Expedition. So he made it possible that we had a very good deal with Oceanwide Expedition. So it is, in that sense, a cheap expedition. I look at NWO, that's the man that helps us keeping the budget low. Here is Martinez, he's also sitting in the room next to Jans. He will be assistant expedition leader, but as you can see on these pictures, he's also the owner of the campground in Longyearbyen. So for the young researchers or the more adventurous ones that do not want to go to a hotel in Longyearbyen, you can stay on the campground with Michelle. Martina is also, in the room, and she helps also with logistics. And then not in the room is another person from NWO, Dick van der Kroef, who is the contact person for all the practical things within NWO, and he's head of the Polar program, and he will be on board as well. And then, of course, a picture of the Ortelius. So how is life on board look like? Well, we will provide you with all the information, but it's mainly a luxurious hotel floating around, and that's our basis for the whole trip. So there will be meals, and if needed, we may take away lunches if some people need to stay on shore during the day. There is coffee, tea, etc., all for free, but of course, if you want to drink something from the bar, then you need to pay for that. To go out, we use Zodiacs, as you see here. We can do Zodiac cruises for sampling on water, but also go on land with these. We have also lounge and restaurant and lecture rooms that we can use during the expedition. So we try to have as many as lectures and information exchange during the trip. Of course, there's electricity supply, so it's quite luxurious, I would say. And we have a doctor on board, just so you know. What is a bit strange for a scientific expedition, but I would like to mention it, because we are on a cruise ship that is normally taking tourists on board, and there will be tourists on board of this trip as well. So it's normal with these kind of trips that you give them a tip, the crew. It's not mandatory, but I just want to let you know that it is common practice on these kind of trips. It's up to you if you want to do so. And here you see some pictures of the cabins. Often they look a little bit bigger on the pictures than in real. And some of you, especially the younger ones, will also stay with 4 people on one room. But that can be fun. So how does this trip look like? So we made a plan, and Jan put potential landing sites in a database. So we have an overarching organization, IECO, who's coordinating all the tourist trips and is also coordinating which ship is going where and when. So the dates and the sites that I've put in this database, we are 100% sure that we can go there at that time. But during an expedition like this, I can assure you one thing: there will always be things that are not going according to plan. That's a given. On the first day's expedition, I think the first and the last day went according to plan, and everything in between we had to improvise because something pops up, whether it be a polar bear or ice or wind, we don't know. We have to improvise. But the main plan is to leave Longyearbyen, go around, have the next day a first landing here, go to Kap Lee, which is a very important place because there used to be a Dutch research station. So a lot of the old research data come from this area. And then we go to the other side, we try to go here, go down, see where we can land here. Last day, landing in Hornsoens, which is a very beautiful fjord, and go back to Longyearbyen. So we have a rough planning. We know what kind of field work all of you want to do. When you exactly can do it, we don't know. We have a plan, but we will inform you about that during the trip. So every evening there is a so-called recap where we look back at the previous day and we tell what the plans are for the next days. And if that changes during the day, there is a PA system and we will inform you. So if you were planning to do some research and there's a change of plans and you can't do it, then just take the opportunity to talk to all these interesting people around you. Or set up a short meeting, start giving presentations. You can all these kind of things you can do. We have to communicate a lot on that, but we'll manage, I'm sure. There will be 8 guides on board. That is normal on a trip on this ship, but we agreed with Oceanwide that we can have some extra people on board that carry a rifle for polar bear safety. And I think Martin is telling a little bit more about polar bears in a minute as well. So, and also for the lectures, no schedule yet. We improvise on. Depends on how the timings are. If we are late back on the ship, then there might not be time for an evening lecture. If we are early, then there is. So it is expedition style. So you need to book your own transport and your own accommodation to Longyearbyen and in Longyearbyen. But further than that, you are, of course, free on board of the ship. There will be sent a form to you, a personal information form. Some of you already filled it in 2 years ago, but that's not valid anymore. So I will resend that to you today, tomorrow, this week, soon, I hope. And then please fill it in with all your medical details, everything. That's mandatory procedure with ocean-wide expeditions. On board, and you can also fill that in on the form, there are very good boots. So you can add your size and rent boots from sorry, ocean-wide expeditions, and just say what size you are, and then we see on board of the ship, we hand them out. So it's highly recommended to have very good boots. If you are in the Zodiac with cold feet, then that's no fun anymore. And there are expedition jackets. So I now hand over to Renno. I hope.
Yes. Can you see me?
Yes. Can you see me? We see your slide. Yeah, we see you're very small. I don't know if you can make you bigger, but.
Does this work?
Yeah.
Maybe the presentation that also works. And I will mute you so we don't have an echo. So welcome. Yeah, I'm Renno. Most of you will know me. I work for the Dutch Research Council, and I actually live around the corner, but I'm having COVID, so that's why I'm online, unfortunately. I see Martin gesticulating a lot. I don't know if anything's wrong. Can you all hear me? Can you raise a hand if it's okay?
It's okay, Renno.
Okay, fine. So I will tell a bit about the jackets. I'm wearing it right now. It's a beautiful one, I think. It has the new logos of NWO and the Polar Program. It has the name of the Netherlands Polar Program on the back. What is great about it, it's not just this puff, this warm jacket, but it's also an outer jacket which you can take off or on separately if you want to. So we ordered these for all polar researchers in the Netherlands, but of course specifically also for the SACE expedition. So I will tell a bit about how we're going to distribute it, what they are like, and how you return them. So first of all, what are they? They are goose down jackets. This one is really warm. I'm sweating right now, my pants off, but also my jacket off. They are made in Argentina by a company called Ansilta. They are also delivering the Argentine Antarctic program material, so don't tell the British. And yeah, they're really warm. The other one is just an outer shell. It's a raincoat basically. It has Gore-Tex, so I'm actually not sure if it's PFAS free. That might be worth an extra project on board the expedition to test whether it's still environmentally friendly or not. But this is really comfortable and a lot better than the previous one in our experience. There's a little Dutch flag on the side. It's basically a copy of the inner jacket. For your information, it weighs about 1.1 kilos, dependent on your size. So it's best to put it on in the plane and not in your luggage. And, we are giving one to every one of you, but we're not giving them as presents. We are borrowing them out. We're lending them, and some get to keep it, and others have to return it afterwards. That's because we only have 100, and that sounds plenty. But of course, 100 distributed over up to 11 different sizes and models. So that means sometimes we only have 3 of one model. So that's also why we didn't bring all the jackets now to Groningen. There's one jacket each size somewhere in there. I was supposed to do that, but of course possible. So I hope that works out fine. It all with both layers. Imagine yourself doing squats because you're in the Arctic, so everything is low. There's no trees, so you'll be sitting a lot and to be comfy in that position as well. You might be wearing some extra layers, so don't pick a size too small. The most important size is around the waist here, or not the waist, body. So for people watching online, you can actually see the table in the link that I'm posting right now and take your measurements. Please email me what size model you want, and then I'll send a box with all the jackets in the upcoming months per institution. So to University of Groningen will get one box, and VU University one, and some others. Only the 10 models can already be given out to the people here. So there's jackets, I believe, for 10. So be a few happy ones, and we already pre-selected the happy few. So it is going to be a bit of a puzzle to find the right sizes for each and every one, especially for the females. We have noted that there are more female polar researchers than ever before, which is great. It's also posing a bit of a challenge to have sufficient number of jackets for all the PhD students. So especially a call for the women, if you feel more comfortable in a straighter model, which is the model, do not hesitate to apply for one. You won't see it from the outside. It's not a shame. So I'll be sending the jackets next month, and afterwards we will request them back for other polar research projects. But if you are going to do fieldwork in the Arctic or the Antarctic in the month afterwards, please email me and we can find a deal so you can keep them for an extended period. But they will always remain property of the Dutch Research Council, which is basically also a pragmatic thing, so that doesn't count as a gift, an income you have to sign up with your income taxes.
Okay, Renaud.
Just one more minute. One more minute. Some people have old jackets. You can still use those, but not on the expedition because we want some uniformity. And media, especially, media are often a bit shy of showing logos, and they will ask you to take the jacket off in an interview, but resist that urge to actually listen because this is not a commercial interview. It's not a commercial measure, so it's all fine.
We have to stop now because we have the practical issues here where the jackets are. So you're telling now, yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, for all of you who are here, so those online can take contact with Renaud, but in the rooms at the back side, where most of you just passed, room number 103 and 104, all the jackets are. There's one room for the women's jackets, and the other the males, so we don't mix them. So you can try the sizes and just fill in on the form what sizes you like to have. So to continue with the practicalities, for those of you who want to transport goods on board, then that is possible. So it is possible to bring stuff on board of the Ortelius when it leaves the Netherlands. So you don't have to bring that on board of the plane. If you want to do so, then there is Martine, an important role. She works at Ierseke, that's very close to Vlissingen, where the Ortelius will be there. Will be then, and she takes care of all of the intake of all the stuff. So we have arranged 1 week where you can bring your stuff to Ierseke, but you need to make an appointment with Martine. So the week is 13-20 May. In that week, you can bring all the stuff, and then we take care, Martine, Frits, maybe I don't know, that all the goods will be transported and safely stored on board of the Ortelius. We really like good boxes, so preferably Zargus boxes. I think Frits arranged discount, but I'm not 100% sure, not yet.
I tried to arrange it.
He tried to arrange it, but No. If it's still managing, then we will let you know. But it's important for us that we have good solid boxes, and if you have sockets, that's easy to put aside here. We may provide you with labels. Some of you might also want to have transport to Longyearbyen already, and then not staying on board of the ship, or need transport to Ny-Ålesund. It's also possible. Then it should be really clearly marked on the labels. So then we can take care of it when we are in Longyearbyen. And then really important that it's very accurately note down what is inside for customs. If you want to bring some chemicals or other goods, then just contact Fritz. He needs to know what kind of chemicals and stuff are on board of the ship.
Yeah, because some things we simply can't bring. A lot of things we can bring, but we have to organize it. Can I make one remark about the boxes on it? Close to the what we really want is that everything is weatherproof packed, because we will put it away on the Ortelius. It will be under a roof, but it's in the helicopter hangar, which is a bit of a, how do you say that, like a tent sort of cloth, which is around heavy trucks. So it is dry, but it's not super entirely dry. So Zakers boxes are absolutely preferred. Cardboard boxes will become wet at some point. So just so you know, that's an important thing. Yeah.
How is the return of goods arranged? Is that a similar process?
This is a similar process, and basically if we ask you to fill out a customs declaration, so we need to know exactly what is in which box according to the label. All the research material will be returned to the Netherlands on the same ship. So will be eventually, after the season, be delivered in Vlissingen or in Jessica.
Thank you.
There is also a possibility to do some experiments on board of the ship, or to look at your samples as soon as you got them, because we make a sort of lab on board. It's on the same spot where we store all the stuff, so it's dry, not heated. It's the tent what Fritz was just talking about, but it worked pretty nice last time. So you can bring also some stuff. Is it helicopter free? Yeah, there's no helicopter there.
Annette, Richard vraagt of we het scherm kunnen delen. Ja, dat gaat ook even maar.
Okay. Yeah, it's too fast for me.
Continue.
Yeah. Okay. So there are possibilities, and if you want to know how it works, contact Martina, for instance, who has a lot of experience with working in the lab. Maarten already mentioned it a little bit, the media on board. Here you see a picture of Arctic Explorer. That is the school program from Tom Huizer, who's sitting in the back. This is what the NOS did in 2015. So I'm going to skip this, but all the information and the old outreach activities are still on the website as well. On this website, what did I do?
It's nice.
I just want to say that on the website of the University of Groningen, there is a lot of practical information. So if you have questions, just look at the website first. And if it's still, someone else is doing this, you still have questions, then of course you can always email me. Or if there is information lacking, or if you're not on the participants list by accident, or if your research details are not well addressed, just let me know and I can adjust it. But there is an overview also. When you click on the research plans, you will see all the research plans on the website as well. So you have a good overview of who is doing what. And then I give it to Maarten again for the research phase. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
just
Or you want me to finish this? Okay. So it is mandatory for all of you, even if you collect samples or not, to register on the RIS database, Research in Svalbard. So all research that is done in Svalbard is registered there. It's also a good source to see what kind of research has been done over all the years. And then if you do so, also mention the general RIS number of the SACE expedition 11496. That information is also on our website.
Annette,
Yeah.
can you extend the duration, because the project for 2020 lasts until May, I think, or so.
Yeah, I look at Martin.
Yeah, you can easily adjust it on the website.
Okay, we will do so. Yeah. And now I give to Martin.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, you might, I sometimes instructing other people and things like that, I might seem a little bit bossy, but I try not to be.
You are.
I sound bossy, but don't get afraid of me. Always just keep talking. My wife knows how to do it. She will be on board too. It's last year we had Stientje van Veldhoven. She was a politician, and she asked around with all the tourists and all the scientists, did you compensate your trip? Almost nobody had done that. It is, at the moment, it's sometimes sensitive in the sense that people will react on these kind of trips, saying, oh gosh, you're flying, you're doing all these things, and you're talking about climate change, and even a compensation is not possible. So I just want to more or less invite you, ask you, it's your own decision, and you're free to lie about it or just anything like that. But it would be wonderful if we do compensate a little bit, or most of us do compensate our CO2 outreach. It's, I just want to tell you about how I do it in the last years, actually, by selling industry shares for CO2 emission. Let's say you can plant a tree in your garden, that's also helping. But basically what we do here is getting CO2 shares out of the community of industry. And in that sense, at least, it's a very clear action where you directly affect the CO2 share, which the industries can't use anymore. So it's a website which is called carbonkiller.org. It's relatively expensive because there are all kinds of plans and ideas which are more simple, but then you can decide for yourself. And you can decide for yourself if you want to need it, but I just thought I was a little bit ashamed afterwards that I didn't do it for the earlier SACE expedition. And it's certainly one of the things which will shock you is the amount of change we see in the Arctic. Then the other thing is, of course, we tend to see bears. We were lucky last time also and things like that, but we don't want to see them like this, that close. But it will determine our program a little bit. But I have to say also, Adria, where we go to, is one of the highest densities of bears, especially depending on the ice situation. We don't know, but last year we had also a lot of ice. And this is just a graph I made from my own study site, where I saw my first polar bear in 2008. And so the blue line is adult polar bears and the red line is cubs. And just, it's happening now more and more. So what is important in this thing to understand a little bit, if you talk to Ko, he says, I handle polar bears. He's from the old school in which polar bears were still hunted. So every polar bear you came across was afraid of people or shot. Now they are protected since 1972. And they learn that people are no danger for them anymore if they behave a little bit. And so also what's happening here in this village where I am, around the village there are 41 seals resting every day. And so the polar bear passes by, smells the seals, is chased away, but he's just coming back again. Because he wants to hunt for the seals or the people. He hunts for both, actually. So there's one predator two predators which will hunt for people, and that's the tiger and the polar bear. So it's not just that they attack you when they are in danger or when they feel not comfortable. They simply hunt you, and they have a week time to hunt you because they only need one person or one seal a week. So be aware of that. That does mean that what is very important, you can't just go by yourself. We always have to stay in groups. We have several, also for the scientists, we have extra people carrying guns, but you can't wander off for a moment in which you want to be in peace and left alone or something like that. That's not possible. That's only possible on the boat, not on land. So that's an important thing you have to realize. And it normally works very well, but just we don't want any bravery. And so if there is a misunderstanding about this, then actually you're banned from going ashore. So how is the expedition organized? Apart from the 50 scientists, we have also something like 40 tourists on board. Tourists who hate to be called tourists. Last time they learned us that they want to be called science supporters. They don't pay extra for being on the boat to us, but they come with the attention of an Arctic Academy, and they like to help. If you have a task which you can spread among more people, like just catching small animals in the tidal zone, or just catching insects in a small pot, sucking them up, turning stones and sucking the insects up, that kind of thing. It's just, we also enjoy having the tourists. But the regulations for tourists are a little bit more complicated because there are some things tourists can't do. For instance, going on the glacier is out of reach. Also, the boat needs also to be as a backup place for the tourists. It does mean that as a scientist, someone is playing with us. Yeah. As a scientist, you just I'm a little bit distracted, sorry for that. But as a scientist, you have a little bit more possibilities. And even as a media thing, we just talk about it, but it has to be decided. Where do you go? Is there not only a gun? Is there a flare in your group? Is there a satellite phone in your group? There are many things related to that. Is someone carrying emergency equipment? All those things are important. So basically, we need to know what you're doing. That's another thing which you're not used to. But while we go on land, there's always the expedition leader, but also even myself, we need to know what you're doing. So we need a very open community, and don't wander off on yourself. I'm actually the only one who made that mistake in 2015, but that also made me realize that you shouldn't do it. So the other thing is that some people have a specific project at a specific site, and then it's over. Then, if you're not working on your project, you're handled by us as a tourist, which makes it a little bit easier also to handle the things. But it does mean that then you can't say, oh, but I can go there or something like that because I'm doing it for my project. We have to know beforehand if you are working as a scientist at that moment or a tourist. So usually, for instance, we had people placing a mast on the glacier, and then after that before that they were tourists, and after that they were tourists. Tourist trips are wonderful, specialized in showing you a lot of interesting things with highly educated guides. So it's just lots of stories and things like that. It's almost better than doing science. But remind me, then you're fully under Jan Belger's responsibility. But as a scientist, I try to get things organized for you too. Okay, that's what we more or less did with the plenary. What's happening now is
I think someone is playing at home because I don't know. Never make.
Just imagine what we're doing lectures and things like that with students. This is the system we use for the student lectures too. But basically, I made a kind of division, because one of the important things is that people who do something similar, we would like also to meet each other, to talk a little bit to each other about what they plan. So at least that there is a core group on certain themes. So I have divided the whole group into a team of archaeology, vegetation, lakes, geology, social science, pollution, birds, mammals, and eDNA, or biodiversity. And so, because I hope that the methods are relatively close, the science goals usually are different, but it will help. And so these groups are on average from 5 to 8 people. So I've tried to divide it as much as possible. And after the break, we have rooms. I hope you can see it. Archaeology in 103, vegetation in 124, lakes in 127, geology in 214, social in 224, pollution in 104, birds of mammals 203. If it starts with a 2, it's 1 floor up, and eDNA in 204. You may shift. This is just a plan in the beginning and things like that, but it's just nice to know a little bit more about what you're doing and how you can even share some work. So that's the plan. And so in here, every of your names is placed. We'll keep this slide up, but it also means that the people which are online, they can join us also online in these rooms. There's everywhere there is a setup where they can join. And then you don't, if you don't put a presentation on, then you can see each other also on the screen. So everybody is free to change in the way and things like that. But basically what we have in the plan, that there will be from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, there will be these subgroups. One more thing, I did it also in 2015. We made small videos of 30 seconds of every person who's joining the expedition. I said it already before, it's downstairs in the end of the corridor. There Francesca is sitting, and you're placed in front of a green screen, and we just tape, you just say who you are, and you just say what you want to do, and that's it. We'll do the same on the return trip on the boat, where we ask you to explain what you experienced or what you could do. But so in the 2015 version, if you look at the people participating, you can already see these 2 videos just on one place. And it's just wonderful to just have a kind of history where people can look up what you did and things like that. But make it very short, because I'm making a lot of videos and I never have people looking for more than 30 seconds to them. So that's why I talk about these 30 seconds.
I don't know if that's the quality of the videos or not, but for the people at home, if you make one at home, just send it to our email address, cspits@gmail.com, and we take care of it. Martina?
Do you want to do it in English or Dutch?
English.
You can do both. If you do both, then we'll use both. Yeah?
Person that made, I don't know who it's given.
We're here together.
How about permits to take samples? Is that going to be?
Sysselmannen wants Sysselmester, it's called now, so it has another name. It should be without any sex addition. So we had a woman being Sysselman previous, and now it's a man again. The first thing which happened was that he was without sex. But it's Sysselmester, they give the permits. It works via the RIS system, Research in Svalbard, where you can ask for the permit. And they just don't want to give us a general thing where we all go. You have to, each project has to ask for its own permission. If you think you need it, you have to make sure that you have that permission. Of course,
That's 6 weeks, I guess, right?
at least 6 weeks. So I would say, don't wait too long. Just officially, they have always to decide within 6 weeks. But as soon as they see a problem, and of course the problem is, or you need more permits if you, for instance, would want to catch birds or things like that. That's general what we don't do on the expedition.
Take the walrus.
Yeah, that's right. But even for kind of things like disturbance or placing sticks close to a walrus, best is to just write a letter, an application explaining what you're doing, and then they say, okay, this is not what we give permissions for, but you're allowed to do so. Also remember that if you take very strange samples, this year it was quite difficult to get my samples back. Basically, Dortelius is coming to the Netherlands. I imported them now via Germany, and that took quite a long time for getting all the customs arranged. But so that's yeah, that might be also something you have to think about.
But so is it easy or not easy? Can you put the samples or keep the samples on the Ortelius and they'll come back?
Yeah, and that's relatively easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to describe them. You have to describe how you have fixed them. So it needs a little bit more.
Yeah, and Mathilde just said it's minimal 8 weeks for risk application on the website.